Assalamu alaikum students, I'm Farzana Khan, English language lecturer. Welcome back in your English class. Dear students, previously you were taught about essay writing, that what is an essay and how to write an effective essay. You learned about the different types of essays, that how to write descriptive essay, how to write narrative essay, and how to write an effective argumentative essay. Well, in today's class, you are going to learn about Precis writing. This is an important technique of writing skills. So you will learn in this class how to write Precis from the passage. On the successful completion of this lecture, you will be able to understand the importance of writing Precis. You will learn about certain qualities of a good Precis, and you will learn certain guidelines which are very important to make an effective Precis. So by the end of today's lecture, you will be able to write an effective Precis of any written text. So pay close attention to the lecture to become an effective Precis writer. Let's start from the introduction. Basically, when we talk about the Precis, the term Precis has been derived from the French word précis, which means expressed accurately. So Precis also means an abstract or gist of a passage. It is basically a process of condensing a longer passage into a shorter one. In other sense, you can simply call Precis is a theme of a passage, or you can say it's a summary of a passage, because here you condense the certain ideas, here you explain major important points of the passage into a shorter passage. So let's talk about that. What are the qualities, what is the importance, and what are the certain guidelines for writing effective Precis. It is very important to define what is basically Precis. The Precis can be defined that the Precis is a clear, compact, and logical summary of a passage. In other meaning, you can simply say that Precis means filtering the main ideas from the longer passage into a shorter passage. Just telling the main points, just describing the summary of the passage, just writing the main theme of the passage. Let me talk about the importance of Precis. You must be thinking that why is it important to learn this technique of Precis writing? Basically, in today's world, everyone is busy, and no one has ample time to write the long and lengthy passages. Similarly, no one has ample time to listen the lengthy speeches. That's why it's very important to convey your message in the least possible words, to convey the main theme of your passage, to write in a precise and concise manner, and to speak the main points in a fewer words. This is basically the Precis, to save your time and to save the time of the other person. It basically reveals an important skill that you have the ability to concise and precise the major point in a fewer words. That's why in today's world, it has become very important to learn the technique of Precis writing and to apply this technique in your written text and in your speeches. You must be thinking that what are the good qualities of a Precis? So first of all, basically, we will talk about the important qualities of the good Precis, and after that, we will move towards the certain guidelines, certain rules or steps for making an effective Precis. So when we talk about the guidelines of a good Precis, basically there are 6 important guidelines. Here you can see in the slides. The first guideline, completeness. The second is clarity. The third is correctness, objectivity, coherence, and the last is conciseness. So one by one, we will discuss these important qualities of a good Precis. The first point is completeness. It's very important that Your précis must be complete. It must contain all the main detail, all the major points which the writer has stated in the main paragraph. Because you will write the précis of a written paragraph, that's why it's very important that all the major points which writer tried to convey must be included in your précis. In this sense, we can say that your précis is complete. You do not need to omit any major point from your précis because you need to add complete, meaningful detail to your readers. For making your précis, completeness must be in your mind, and it is one of the good qualities of the précis that if your précis is complete, it contains all the details which the writer basically has stated in the major and main point, then we can say that your précis is a good one. Well, the other quality of précis, of a good précis, is clarity. We can define clarity as getting the meaning from your head accurately. You need to convey as it is point of the reader to of the writer towards your readers. This is basically the purpose of clarity while writing, while making précis from the passage. It's very important that you need to add all the detail, and at the same time you need to add all those points in a clear manner, that there must not be any ambiguity for your reader. Clarity is one of the important rules of speaking and writing. Similarly, it's very important that when you are making a précis of the passage, it must be very clear because ambiguous writing lead to misunderstandings. So the purpose of précis will not be achieved if there is any ambiguity in expressing your ideas. So along with completeness, it's very important that your précis must be clear. It clearly expressed the ideas which you want to convey and which is basically mentioned in the passage. The next quality of précis writing is of a good précis is basically correctness. You need to provide complete major points, complete ideas which the writer has mentioned and given in the passage. At the same time, you need to provide all those points in a clear manner. But the third quality is that you need to provide all the main points in a correct manner. When we talk about the correctness, it means your précis must be grammatically correct. It means there must not be spelling mistakes. It must be correctly punctuated. So there must be expression of correct ideas, all those ideas which have been mentioned by the writer in the main paragraph. You need to express all those ideas and all those expressions in your précis. So in this sense, if you are following all these rules, your sentence structure, your paragraph is grammatically correct. There are no spelling mistakes, no punctuation mistakes, and all the ideas have been correctly expressed in the précis, then we can say that your précis has the quality of correctness. Let's talk about the other quality of good précis. So before moving toward the other quality of good précis, you need to keep it in your mind that mistakes which may occur are the spelling mistakes, the mistakes of facts and figures. Avoid adding wrong facts and figures. Add all those facts and figures which are as it is given in the passage, main passage, right? So along with this, you need to punctuate your sentences and your complete paragraph in a proper way, and you need to be very careful about the structure of the sentences. In this way, you can achieve the quality of correctness. Let's talk about the other quality of a good précis. Another quality of a good précis is objectivity. Basically, it's the ability to present opinions and preferences as it is, as given in the passage. You need to avoid your personal opinion in the passage. not add personal opinions and personal ideas in the passage, because in Prezi your purpose is to provide main idea which is given in the passage as it is, but in a shorter way, in a precise, concise manner, giving the summary and the main points. It doesn't mean to add your own opinion, your own point of view. You have been given a passage, right? You have been given a passage which contains, you have been given a topic which can be on 2 to 3 paragraphs, and when you are asked to write a précis, then you will write one paragraph of the complete paragraphs, but you won't add your own details, you won't add your own main points and your own main ideas. So it's very important that you need to stick to the points which are given in the actual passage, not your own personal opinions, personal preferences. So this is called objectivity, and it is one of the important qualities of a good précis. The next quality of a good précis is coherence. You all are very well aware that coherence is very important in any type of writing. Usually it happens that when students start writing a précis from the passage, they collect the main ideas and then they try to combine all those ideas in a single paragraph, and they usually forget the rule of coherence. Coherence brings clarity. Coherence makes the idea clear. Coherence increases the chance to understand, increases the chance that your readers must understand your point. So there must be coherence of ideas. There must be connectivity between your sentences, and and throughout the paragraph there must be coherence among the sentences, because in other way coherence can be defined a logical interconnection, right? So well joined ideas and well structured sentences basically reveal coherence in the idea, in the message. So you need to add interrelated sentences. So coherence is one of the important qualities of a good précis. You need to write a coherence passage, you need to make a coherence précis, or in other sense, a coherent summary or theme of the passage. While when talking about the coherence, we can say a good précis is always a coherent one. You cannot separately add the different ideas which are given in the passage and you can say that I have done my précis. You need to give the main points, but the way you express those points must be coherent along with complete and clear. So make your précis so coherent that your reader easily understand your main points. In this way, you will be able to achieve your purpose of making a précis. Well, conciseness is another important quality of a good précis. Conciseness means writing in fewer possible words. Whatever is mentioned in the major passage, you need to express all those points because completeness is also very important. You need to express all those points, but express in a concise manner, because this is the major purpose of the précis. You are making précis basically for decreasing the numbers of words, right? For decreasing the length of the major passage, just to save your time and the time of the readers. That's why it's very important that write brief and direct. Add the major points, but be brief. At the same time, a good précis includes concise expressions. Always go for those expressions which are concise. Avoid unnecessary expressions. At the same time, avoid unnecessary, you can say avoid unnecessary repetition. If there is repetition continuously in the passage, your purpose is to give the main detail. So avoid all unnecessary ideas, unnecessary explanation, unnecessary repetition, and unnecessary expressions to make your précis a good précis and to achieve the quality and the standard of conciseness. It's very important that whenever you are writing any type of text, you need to follow the rule of conciseness, right? So for making précis, it's most important. Major purpose of the précis is to make the concise, the precise things. That's why conciseness is very important and one of the important qualities of a good précis. Well, it was all about the qualities of a good précis. Now we will talk about the important rules for writing précis. You can simply say important guidelines for writing a good précis, or in other words, you can say step by step different rules. By following these rules, you can write an effective and a good précis. So let's talk about the rules of writing a good précis. So here you can see in the slides, basically there are, you can see there are certain guidelines or certain rules for making précis. These all are basically 16 rules. You need to follow these 16 rules for making a good précis. First rule you can see is careful reading, outline. The other one is understanding and then underlining. After that, omission is another rule, a guideline, and then don't omit. Length, indirect speech, own wording, avoid giving opinions, paragraph form, tenses and persons, no change in meaning. Along with this part of art of compression, because précis is basically compression of the major ideas, compression of the main text, and reading, finally conclusion. So these all are basically the guidelines or steps which you need to follow while making a good précis. So now we will discuss these guidelines one by one. So pay close attention to the guidelines to become an effective précis writer. The first and foremost important point for making a précis is reading. You cannot make a précis without reading, right? For this purpose, read the passage carefully, because understanding is also very important. Just reading is not important. Read with full concentration. So it is recommended that for understanding the passage, you need to read it thrice to make its subject clear. You will not be able to write a good précis unless until you get the main idea, you get the main subject, you get the main theme yourself after reading the passage. That's why it's very important. You need to read the passage once, twice, and then thrice to get the main ideas of the reader, that what actually a writer wanted to convey. Right after reading, the next important guideline is outlining. An outline for a précis is usually recommended. When you are reading, at that time you need to outline certain points in your mind, that what are the major points which are added in this passage, which you need to add in the précis. So think of some words, phrases, sentences, and even the key points, because certain phrases, words, and key points basically give you an idea, gives you the theme of the précis. That's why you need to read and outline first of all. After reading and outlining, the other important guideline is understanding. So you need to understand. Only reading and outlining certain words or phrases are useless if you are unable to understand the passage. So reading with full concentration will make your understanding more strong about the passage. So understand the main theme, the major idea which basically the writer wants to convey. Right? Get the main idea. For this purpose, read twice, thrice, outline the major points and phrases, and read with full concentration to understand and to comprehend the passage fully. After fully comprehension of the passage, you will be able to write a précis, right? Well, after that, underlining. This is also a very important guideline. It's psychologically proven that whenever you are reading certain points, even you are reading any notes or books, at that time you need to underline certain points. You can underline certain words, certain phrases, or even certain sentences which you think or which you feel are very important, as your purpose in Prezi is to concise the major point, is to give the main theme of the passage. So it's very important that while reading the passage you need to underline. So what will you underline? You will underline the important points, because one of the qualities of a good Prezi is completeness. So you need to be very careful about the main points, main ideas. So you need to underline all those main points, keywords, and main sentences which you think must be added in the précis. So underlining will save your time and make certain ideas clear in your mind. While underlining the certain points, you need to be very careful that you avoid to add the unnecessary information, because omission is very important, as the purpose of the précis is to give the summary and only the gist of the main passage, and that's why it's very important that you need to follow the rule of omission. You need to omit the unnecessary information, omit omit adjectives, and at the same time omit adverbs. You all are very well aware that adverbs and adjectives are basically added in the passages or in the sentences to modify nouns and to modify adjectives, and actions are simply, you can say, the verbs. So if you omit adverbs and adjectives from the sentences, still your main idea will remain the same, because these are just added to highlight and to emphasize the certain things, right? So omission is very important. Omission of unnecessary detail, unnecessary expressions, and unnecessary information. The next guideline is related to this one guideline, because while omitting certain unnecessary expressions, you need to be very careful that don't omit the important points and ideas. Right? For this purpose, read the passage thrice. In this way, you need to underline the major points. While underlining major points and reading again and again with full concentration, it will become easy in your mind. It will become clear in your mind that which points are important, which you need to omit, which you need to include in the précis. So don't omit important points and important ideas and important details, which is very important and which is basically the major theme of the passage. Question arises, what should be the length of a précis? It's also very important. You need to be very careful about the length of the précis. It is recommended that précis should be written in a precise and concise way in a shorter form. It's the process of condensing the longer passage into shorter one. It's basically a technique of writing summary of the passage. It's basically giving the main theme of the passage. So what should be the length? This is a big question. Here is the answer of the question. The length of a précis should be 1/3 of the passage. It should be 1/3 of the original passage. For this purpose, you can even count the numbers of the words after completing your précis. You can count the words, limit words numbers, and then you need to again make more concise to reach the limit of 1/3 of the original passage. It is universally acknowledged point that while making précis of any passage, The length of the précis should be one third of the original passage. I hope you will keep this point in your mind, right? Well, writing a précis and other guideline and other step is that you need to be very careful about this speech. It is the rule of writing précis that it should always be in indirect speech, not in direct speech. You all are very well aware about the direct speech and indirect speech. So précis will always be written in indirect speech because writer has written a passage, original passage. You are giving the summary and you are writing the theme of that original passage. That's why you will write the précis in indirect speech. So if there are certain if there is direct speech in the original passage, then you need to change that direct speech into indirect speech. Right? This is very important rule of writing précis, and you need to keep it in your mind because the violation of this rule will result in a very bad précis. Right? So other important guideline is that as the purpose is to give the main idea, is to write the main theme of the passage, right? So for writing the main ideas, the main theme of the passage, you need to use your own language, your own words. Don't borrow or don't copy as it is words from the passage, from the original passage. So abstain from borrowing the words. You need to add your own words. Read the passage, get the main ideas, but write all those main ideas in your own wording, making it complete and clear for for your readers. So, using own words is very important in précis. Other important point: avoid giving opinion. While writing précis, keep this point in your mind that basically you are making the précis of the original passage. You are not a creator of the new passage. You can add your opinion, your new ideas, your own point of view in your own creative writing, right? Not in the writing of the other persons. So when you will make the précis of the original passage, at that time you will not give any comments on the point of view of the writer. Your purpose is only to read the passage, get the main ideas, and write yourself in a concise, complete, and clear meaning. Write one third of the passage, right? So don't give comments, appreciative or negative, whatever. Don't add your own personal opinion and don't express any new idea which is related to that idea. Because your purpose is only to write the summary, the theme, a gist, or abstract of the original text. So you won't add any of your comment or any of your opinion or idea in your précis. This is very important. Otherwise, you will violate the rule of précis and it will not be the précis, but it will become an expansion passage, right? The next important point which you keep in your mind is that paragraph form. You will write your complete précis in one paragraph, only in one paragraph. This is very important because you can be given you can be given 3 to 4 paragraphs and you can be asked to make a précis of these paragraphs. And if you are asked to make the précis, one précis, then definitely you will make one précis of those 3 to 4 paragraphs in one paragraph. Because you are going to write gist, you are going to write extract from all the paragraphs. You are going to write the theme or the summary of the passage. So keep it in your mind that you will write one paragraph of this précis. It will always be in one paragraph. Well, the next rule or guideline is about tenses and person. Keep it in your mind that when you are writing a précis from the original passage, you are not creating any new idea. You are reproducing all the ideas which are given by the writer in a precise and concise manner, because you are writing a summary, you are writing the theme of the major original passage. So there are certain rules about using tenses and person while writing the précis. So past tense is always used while making the précis. Keep one point in your mind, that you will always use the past tense. But if there are certain facts, universal truths are given in the passage, so you won't change the tense of that truth. You will write all those facts, truths in the present tense. But further, all detail you will write in the past tense, because you are writing the theme, the summary, the abstract, or you can say the extract from the main original passage. When it comes to the person, always use third person, right? Because you are writing the opinion of the writer, writer of the original passage. You are not allowed to add your own opinions, your point of view, and your own first person, like I mean, I think. You will use the third person. The writer explains, the writer says, the writers said, whatever you want to add. Well, the other point, other guideline, which is also very important, no change in meaning. Your purpose is to write a theme, a summary in which you will add all the major points, right? But you will, it is also recommended that you need to add your own language. Don't borrow the words from the original passage. You need to use your own words, but it should be complete and clear. At the same time, it should be accurately expressed. Don't change the meaning of the précis. What is actually written in the passage should be conveyed in your précis, not a new idea, not a different idea, not change the meaning. So be careful while selecting the synonyms of certain words, while constructing the sentences, while making the paragraph, right? So another guideline is that précis is basically an art of compression. You need to be very careful about compressing the long passage. Compress and clarify a lengthy passage. This is basically called the process of précis. So while describing or adding the major points, you need to be very careful. You need to omit the unnecessary details and add the major points in the passage to make your précis a good précis, because it is a process, it is an art of compressing the main long passage, the long paragraphs, into a shorter one paragraph. Well, reading, I already told you, read, and read to understand the main point of the writer. And after that, you will be able to understand the main points. Then you can write a good précis by following all these guidelines which I explained in today's lecture. So read the passage several times. It is recommended to read 3 times. But again, after reading 3 times, if still you are facing the difficulty in understanding the passage, then read again and again, right? So conclusion, it's not the conclusion of this lecture. This is basically the conclusion of your précis. You will underline major points, you will read again and again the passage, you will follow all the guidelines which you learned in this class, and finally you will write the conclusion of your précis. Conclusion is not the repetition of the main ideas. Here basically you restate the main idea of the text in a simple way, in a one sentence, basically what the writer wanted to convey to the readers. So for providing the main support to your other ideas which you have given in your précis. So conclude your précis in a concise, precise way while adding a sentence which restates the main idea and which basically provides support to your other ideas which you have added, basically which you have selected from the original passage. Let let talk about discuss an exercise. I'll show you a passage basically, and then I'll show you the précis of that original passage. Here you can see a passage. You can simply see here tracts of land from which coal is obtained are called coal fields. These so-called fields are not on the surface of Earth, but at some depths below it. They consist of layers of beds which run under the ground. When a layer of this kind has been opened, the opening is called a mine and hence is classed. Here you can see in the slides that basically the major key points, the main expressions have been highlighted. In this way, you can highlight the main points. These points will give you an idea that about what basically the passage is, what is the main theme, and what and how to write in your précis. It is very important. While reading, you need to read twice, thrice, and getting the point. After understanding, you need to, while reading, you need to underline the certain and major points. These points will make your mind clear about the passage. At the same time, these points will provide you a clue to write an effective précis. Well, here you can see the exact précis of the passage. The coal fields are underground tracts of land from which coal is obtained. They have underground layers of bed. They are called mine when they are opened. This is the précis, and you can also give the title of the précis. What are coal fields? You can simply say about coal fields, right? So this is basically the process of making précis. You need to read the passage or paragraphs to understand the concepts, keep certain points in your mind about précis, which are basically the rules of writing précis, and then write a précis. So we can summarize all these points in a way. First of all, you need to read the topic. You need to read the original text. After that, underline the key points. Understand those points and then start writing all those points. When you will start writing, at that time you need to be very careful about the tenses, about the speech, about the persons, at the same time about the coherence and about the correctness. You will tell all the ideas in a concise manner, but in a clear and complete. Well, we can also say that at the end you will review your précis, that whether you have added all the points or not, whether there is connectivity, coherence in the passage or not. And at the end you will add conclusion about your précis. So it's all about the précis. In today's class, basically, dear students, you learned about the précis, that what is précis and how to write an effective précis. In case if you have any question about the précis, then you can ask in the WhatsApp group. You can also post on Google Classroom, and you can also discuss all those questions in the interactive sessions. So dear students, in today's class, you learned about précis writing, that what is précis, why is it important? In today's world, everyone is busy. That's why it's important to make the speech and texts concise and precise. You learned certain guidelines of a good, you learned certain qualities of a good précis, and you also learned in today's lecture what are the important rules and guidelines for making a good précis. I hope all these rules and points and guidelines are pretty clear in your mind, and while keeping all these guidelines in your mind, you can make a good précis from the original text. So I'll also assign you an assignment regarding the précis. I'll upload a passage on the Google Classroom, and you will make précis while keeping in mind all the rules which you learned in today's class. So in next class, we basically learned about and other technique of writing, which is expansion, paragraphs expansions. So till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.